Welcome to another episode of Event Advice, and today we have myself, Matt Allen, CEO of CrowdComms, and we are joined by Ryan Hamill, who's head of our enterprise sales here at CrowdComms. So it's an important one, and we really wanted you on this one because you are the expert.
Try to be.
No pressure, mate.
Try to be. I get to speak to the most enterprise customers, which is great.
You certainly do, but you also know this industry incredibly well. So you understand it from a client side as well as from an event tech side, having been both sides of that.
Yeah.
So what we want to look at today, what we want to discuss is large events or organizations running lots of events.
Yeah.
And just have a bit of understanding and empathy of just how complex that is and how challenging it is.
Yeah.
And what some of the things are that make it challenging. What you're seeing clients do when you chat to these clients, and I know you'll see some that are already doing things to react to the challenges and some that are early on in the process, but just want to understand what different people are doing and how you kind of play a part in that consultative process.
Yeah, well, I just think when we're thinking about sort of, I guess, true enterprise or true corporate organizations, global organizations, when we're thinking about them, especially in 2026, like their event strategy is a huge portion of their marketing strategy.
Yep.
So firstly, let's say it's even 30 or 40%. That's a huge amount of their finances on their company growth is going into it. So they have to get it right. Where it becomes complicated for them is that obviously the more global those organizations become, the regional teams will have such different requirements.
Yeah.
So procurement is saying, we got to cut costs, we got to centralize, but the regional budgets are saying, we need something which works for our unique communities and staff members and data requirements and so on and so forth. So people are pulling both directions.
Interesting first point. Centralizing, cutting costs. Is it always to cut? Is that always the driver, or is it through quality?
Well, I think that I guess almost the antithesis to CrowdComms is having different solutions which suit different regions, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you're really looking at anything to reduce costs, centralization is key. We've seen a lot of this shake out during the COVID time, where procurement teams were like, how do we get rid of all the suppliers that are unessential? And how can we stretch the suppliers we currently work with so as we can have one simple contract and be able to manage that contract and reduce cost? So you've got procurement teams trying to do that, but then you've got regional teams, like let's say teams in APAC or the US or Europe, having such different event requirements or data security requirements even. So yeah, functionally, we can deliver the same solution for everyone across the world.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the sort of the gristle of it all, even things like having the right people on the ground and the right language support and all of those things, sometimes regionalization is key too. So it's hard, very hard to solve.
It's a balancing act, isn't it? Because you don't want to suppress creative kind of innovation and design.
Yeah.
So how far do you go? I mean, I think from a tech perspective, there's value in not consolidating, that's the wrong word. I think at least auditing and looking at the tech and considering whether it's fit for purpose.
Yeah.
Is that kind of one vendor always the right approach?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense of if you're working with multiple vendors in multiple different places, you're not going to be able to maintain brand consistency. You're not going to be able to retain consistency of delivery across all of those regions.
Yeah.
Like some of the customers we've been working with recently, large financial institutions, large tech organizations, they are all about, I want an event in Mumbai to feel exactly the same as an event in the US. And that comes from event tech to delivery to set and setting and everything onwards.
Yeah.
However, the traditional model of event technology is global organizations, a lot of them based in the US, do centralized purchasing for global event teams, and then they have to roll out that technology.
Yeah.
But then it comes down to what's really important in event technology, which is actually, event technology is very unique in the sense of, yes, anyone can sell you the technology, but you need the people and resources to be able to deliver it in all of those regions. So where a lot of, I guess, underwhelming delivery has happened in the EMEAs and the APACs and the rest of the world It generally happens when someone in the US has signed off a global event technology contract, which didn't apply for those other parts of the organization or didn't suit as best as they could. So yeah, it's a very tough balance.
Do you have the ones, I would call them kind of operational essentials or more of a infrastructure technology? Like when we look at registration for events, okay, that's it. That's a operational infrastructure. If you're a big organization, you need to register people to multiple things. You need small meetings, middle-sized meetings, daily meetings, big meetings. So you need something that kind of manages that with quality and then ties all that information in a centralized place. What about does that make things like a app a nice to have? Do they have to fit into at what point do you think I can centralize my must-have, so we've got continuity, but can I choose the best event app out there? And who's the best at badging? And who integrates best with this software, which is critical to us for this component relating to engagement? What's the, I suppose, how would you differentiate the essentials through infrastructure and the tools?
I'd worry less so about essentials and tooling and actually just focus on, hang on, what is software? Software can be deployed relatively globally. Registration, you could sign that off in one central location, and as long as that solution meets all of your data requirements in all the regions around the world, that could be rolled out globally. Registration is a good example. Event apps are another good example. Things like attendance tracking or lead retrieval, that can deploy pretty globally. Even with remote support, that generally goes well. Now, when we get into the nuts and bolts of how do you deliver an on-site experience? How do you get people to these events? How do you ensure continuity of delivery? That's when you might start wanting to think about a more sort of add-on, bolt-on, regional approach, case-by-case basis. But yes, can enterprise companies centralize parts of their event technology? Yes. Like I see the registration solution essentially just a part of their marketing stack. It's just an extension of it at this point. So registration and then rolling into app, absolutely no issues. Fill your boots, sign it off wherever you need to with the tool that works best for your global organization. But don't get yourself caught up too much in the nuts and bolts and people and logistics and all that stuff in one single agreement, because they're the ones that I see fail time and time again.
I've seen you win projects and lose projects. Okay. But I've seen every time the same approach, like consultative. Tell me what you're doing. So what are you seeing when you go well, firstly, what does that process look like? And secondly, what are you seeing from these big organizations? Where are they in the journey?
It's changing. The traditional event tech vendors, I think they have got to a size now where they've lost somewhat of their face. And the large customers are demanding a higher level of support. They really want organizations that will almost work with them in collaboration to build their perfect tool. I'm not saying you're building custom tools for every customer, but they need flexibility, and they're not getting it at the top tier. So that's the first thing. The second thing is because events have become so much of a part of organizations' marketing strategy, there's people throughout these organizations now which want technology to deliver events which traditionally wouldn't have. Not just comms teams and event teams and marketing teams, but product teams and investment teams, and all these people want to run events. So everyone's coming to me and saying, can you just give us a price and just let us crack on? Because we want to empower people to use this technology.
Do you think that's a slight shift? Because it used to be, right, website costs £1 million a year. I mean, that's low balling compared to what these websites actually cost, big organizations. Spending X on pay-per-click, we're investing this in SEO, we've got these different retargeted campaigns, we're doing all this stuff, we're spending all these millions. But what we want to do is we want to save some money here on this technology. When I've got actual buyers there with our team, but let's keep that as cost effective as possible. Are we seeing that there's less compromise there now?
100%. If you think about any other part of the marketing technology stack, these organizations will be spending into the millions and millions of pounds on their HubSpot, on their CRM, on all these things. Why? Because they want to harvest whatever lead data and customer data they have to grow their accounts, to grow depth in those relationships, or grow a better connection with their members, however they shape their business. So they spend huge amounts of their marketing budget on this. Now, the first human touch point in that journey is the event, and people are realizing that. Why are events so busy now? And why is everyone becoming so focused on in real life communities? Because everyone's just a bit tired of the digital environment. And they realize that you can't get away from going and shaking someone's hand, having a good conversation with them over a beer or a coffee, and figuring out what is going on in their world that they can help with. So that the event technology captures that conversation. That is the most valuable conversation that they've ever had with that customer, is in events. So yes, people are starting to be open to that, but traditional CMOs, traditional sort of heads of marketing, and they're slowly realizing that events are key parts of the strategy. They can't spend more money on email because people aren't reading them.
Yep.
They can't spend more money on ads because people are just done with getting pestered on ads.
Yep.
So they're realizing that they have to become event specialists. And as CMOs start to get on board with that messaging, that budget will start to come from those big CRMs, those big marketing automation companies, those big social campaigns, and starting to flow into the event technology space where they're actually getting real information from the customer. Hey, Matt, we're really struggling with whatever that technology or banking or financial solution might be. Boom. Now we really have a lead.
And are people, like the traditional approach was the big organizations that we historically work with and that you're onboarding. Many of them would have had a big agency working with them, supporting them in the process and the big activation.
Yeah.
Then, so they might have a tier 1 events, which are just self-governed, self-supported, self-managed. Tier 2, where they have a certain level of support, and then tier 3, where, you know, it's full experiential agency. Are you seeing the same now, or are we starting to see teams bring that in-house and manage the whole kind of organization, preparation, the strategy? Mm-hmm. Is that being centralized as well in cases? What are you seeing? Not trying to project at all.
No, you're fine. So it really depends on the industry of the organization. If we think about established banks and institutions, they're quite traditional in their approaches.
Yeah.
And they will have teams, and they like to protect their clients and their messaging, and they keep it really close to them because they're secure organization. I shouldn't really do this. They are a secure organization. But if you think about global tech companies, which are competing for shareholders, competing for stock prices, competing for getting in everyone's faces and their data and valuation, these companies now you'll start to see are hiring event technology specialist, head of event technology, head of registration technology, head of application management for events.
It's so exciting to see that.
In the tech space, or I guess we call it the SaaS space, the software development space, these guys are going so hard on event tech right now because they are competing so much for data. On the banking side, they're sticking quite traditional with their teams. And keeping it quite in-house. And then as just going back to the software development piece, these guys are more likely to partner with a global agency to get that brand messaging really loud and really in front of people and really sexy. They're more likely to invest in that. And also their profit margins are slightly higher, so they've got more money to do so.
Yeah. It sounds as if one of the key things that I've heard you say, software is obviously critical, but it's the kind of implementation of that software. It's the service that really can pull it all together, isn't it? I mean, we're definitely seeing that you can either be a true software company that has genuine activation opportunities, either through agency or internal team, or you're a software and service business.
Yeah.
We sit kind of, we sit kind of no man's land. We do a bit of both, don't we?
What is SaaS? What is the actual word?
Software as a service.
Event technology is the true definition of SaaS.
Yeah.
It's people sell you the software and you need the service to make it happen. We sit right there. We are actually true SaaS.
Yeah. But it's not the SaaS that that has been portrayed for many years.
Yeah, we can add an extra S to it. Software as a service.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that. We'll just completely change it. Have you? Don't obviously name clients because we're not in a position where we can do that. But give me an example of a company that you've seen do this really well, manage the process, tie together something really complex, I suppose, and also use data in a way that enables them to kind of make sensible decisions about that portfolio of events.
Yeah, I think when I think about who is best at delivering events and executing on events and getting what they need from events, I always think global technology vendors or global software development houses. What they really get is if we're thinking about sort of what the events are really about, we're trying to generate really good quality relationships, leads, connection.
Yeah.
So these,
I love the fact you don't shy away from that straight away, because that's why we're here, isn't it? That is the essence of
what I
it.
meant. If you're not building events and selling tickets to them to make profit, you are trying to grow your customer base, or you're trying to essentially generate new customers or awareness on that. So that's what everyone's doing.
Yeah.
Of course, there's members and associations and things like that. They've got different goals, their education. We don't need to get into too much around that element. But so yeah, what these companies are doing very well is that they realize that, so if we think about they're just trying to generate larger customers and trying to generate more leads, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to increase lead scores. And the higher they can drive those lead scores for individuals in their CRM, then someone senior in their sales team will capture them when they get past, let's say, an 80 out of 100 or 85 out of 100 as a lead. So that they know that's a really hot qualified lead, so they can spend their time on that. Anything below that stays in their traditional marketing funnel. So the companies that are doing really, really well is they're going, okay, this person landed on our website, this person clicked on the email, this person engaged with that, this person registered for the event, this person came to our booth, this person enjoyed this session and stayed there, this person connected with these 5 different topic types. They're feeding that back in to the CRM to give them a true lead score, including the event level data.
Yeah.
This is why I'm passionate about event technology right now, because I think we are just at that verge where the event experience is becoming integral to the actual customer and lead quality that people are following up with. And that's really what everyone's trying to achieve.
Yeah. We are in a fairly unique position that we do get to speak to teams. At this kind of scale, we're probably looking at 4 or 5 that you speak to on a month, rolling basis, that you get to kind of collaboratively look at their problems and present solutions. We don't always win, and I've heard you sometimes say we're not suitable here, and where we are suitable, you obviously go for it and present the right solution, and we're having great successes. So I think I'm going to just do one pitch, and that is, if you want to chat about your events, then Ryan's a very good start. He knows the industry incredibly well, and will always be really consultative and open about it. So
yeah,
thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
All good.
Definitely subscribe, comment, and like, and contact us and get in touch and chat about your events. Look forward to speaking to you soon.